Jiang Yinyan nibbled gently, almost tormenting her. It was as if he knew she was terribly nervous and anxious, yet he deliberately took his time. Yinyan pressed against his chest, not daring to openly defy him. For a moment, she felt wronged, which showed in her eyes. But Jiang Yinyan liked to see her like this, helpless and unable to refuse. She was on his territory, in the kingdom he had built, and this thought and notion filled Jiang Yinyan with inexplicable excitement and a sense of accomplishment. He wished he could just bully her terribly right there, watching her teary-eyed, listening to her pleas. It wasn't her hallucination. She heard a knock on the door. She froze. Knock, 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 3 polite taps. Jiang Yinyan let go of her. But even though he let go, Yinyan didn't dare to go out at that moment. Jiang Yinyan observed her nervousness, a faint smile playing on his lips. He straightened up, stood at the door of the lounge, and raised his hand to fasten his cufflink. Come in. Yinyan flinched, instinctively reaching out and tugging his shirt. He turned to look at her, his eyes full of deliberate amusement. The office door was pushed open, and Yunyan quickly retracted her hand when she heard it. It was Jia. Yunyan recognized her voice. Jia's voice, when facing Jiang Yinyan, was as cold as ever, but Yunyan could detect a subservient attitude. As a woman, Yunyan could well understand Jia's feelings. She came to the office to give a work briefing. Her logic was very clear, and her work style was quite decisive and efficient. Yunyan, unable to leave for a moment, could only stand by the door, listening to Jia's report. Quite ambitious. This was the conclusion Yunyan drew during the listening. She was the president's secretary, yet she was subtly encroaching on the assistant's work. She even mentioned the Nanzhou expansion project, but her mention was very skillful. Does Mr. Jiang need any cooperation from Vice President Yang's side? Yesterday, I saw Assistant Yu seem to have hit a snag with Vice President Yang and encountered a tricky situation. Perhaps Assistant Yu is new and unfamiliar with everything. So, Mr. Jiang, do you think I need to help her? How well-intentioned was this statement? On the surface, it sounded like it was all to assist her work, but implicitly, wasn't it saying that she was incompetent and her work ability was weak? Yunyan chuckled inwardly. She had seen too many people like this in the circle. A high-class, cold-faced schemer. Is that so? Jiang Yinyan asked indifferently. His attitude was very nonchalant. Jia said, she might not have told you because she thought she could handle it herself. Of course, I believe in Assistant Yu's abilities. After all, she joined the group after passing the HR assessment. I'm just worried that she might spend too much time trying to figure things out and delay matters, affecting Mr. Jiang's work schedule. Jiang Yinyan nodded thoughtfully. Okay, I understand. Then on my end, these are supposed to be her responsibilities, so she has to complete them even if she faces difficulties. Otherwise, how could she sit in that position? Jiang Yinyan said lightly. Jia seemed not to have expected Jiang Yinyan to say that. She paused slightly, then said, yes. Also, because the assistant position was vacant before, you had to take on some work which was hard on you. Now that Assistant Yu has taken office, please hand over some of the projects you just reported on to her. Jia's mouth opened slightly, and she softly replied, Mr. Jiang, Assistant Yu just arrived at the group. She might not have adapted yet. Are you sure you want to transfer all the work to her? Yes, Jiang Yinyan said succinctly. Jia nodded. Okay. Before leaving, Jia added, Assistant Yu hasn't come to the company yet. Don't need to call her. No need, you go work, Jiang Yinyan said. Jia left. When Jiang Yinyan turned to look at Yunyan, she had a speechless expression. He smiled. What's wrong? Yunyan muttered. Luckily I came early today. Jiang Yinyan gave him sound. Yunyan glared at him. Why pretend to be clueless? But she didn't bring up the topic. Why would she criticize Jia in front of him? What would be the difference between her and Jia then? And complaining in that manner would clearly show she was trying to vent through her private relationship with Jiang Yinyan. She didn't want to be that crude. Jiang Yinyan smiled at her. Second day of work, and you've already made an enemy? See, he was indeed an old fox, cunning and aware of everything. Yunyan said, coming to work at the group with my identity as a Yu family heiress, I've already made enemies. Jiang Yinyan bent slightly, his cheek almost touching hers, and chuckled softly. If anyone bullies you, tell me. Yunyan avoided his breath, suppressing the panic in her heart. She said, how do I get out? I have a meeting at 10. She gestured to the wall. Time is ticking. Jiang Yinyan seemed not to understand. There's a meeting at 10? And you're attending alone? Yinyan, no. Jiang Yinyan smiled. You're my assistant. What meeting would you know about that I don't? The large project team's work meeting, Yunyan honestly informed him. Jiang Yinyan raised an eyebrow slightly. Vice President Yang, no matter how much he dislikes me, can't kick me out, can he? That wouldn't follow company procedure, Yunyan said. Jiang Yinyan observed her. I didn't expect you to have a way to deal with someone like Vice President Yang. At most, I just did a lot of preparation. Knowing myself and my enemy, I'll win every battle, Yunyan said, word for word. Jiang Yinyan leaned closer to her. Then why didn't you think about preparing for me? Yunyan stepped back a bit, smiled. Mr. Jiang, aren't you going to be dedicated to your work anymore? Or are you really planning to spend the whole day messing around with me here? Jiang Yinyan had a half-smile on his face. If possible, he really would have liked to mess around for a day, right there, on his territory. Seeing that he seemed to be relaxing, Yinyan quickly left the lounge. Jiang Yinyan leaned against the lounge door, watching her furtively open the office door and look around, and couldn't help but smile. So, he quickly stepped forward, picked up a thick stack of documents from the desk, and approached her. Assistant Yu. His voice was quite loud. It startled Yunyan considerably. She instinctively turned around, and the next second, a thick stack of documents was shoved into her arms. She heard Jiang Yinyan say, "Remember, you need to read all these documents as soon as possible, and then return them promptly." The office door was open, so this scene would be seen by those outside. It actually helped her out of a predicament, because if she had sneaked out just now, she would have been exposed the moment she stepped out. Now, she had a legitimate reason. The other colleagues didn't pay much attention, but Gigi's face looked extremely displeased. Yunyan wasn't usually one to rub it in when she got an advantage, but seeing Gigi's expression, she felt inexplicably satisfied. The large project team's work meeting at 10 o'clock was not on Yunyan's work schedule. But she went. She even arrived at the meeting room 5 minutes early. She completely understood the large project team's meeting habits. Yangli was very strict about work, so every time the department held a meeting, project team members had to arrive at the meeting room before the appointed time. For example, if a meeting was at 10 this morning, the project team members had to be seated in the meeting room by 9:55. You could arrive early, but never late. Absence required prior leave, otherwise the entire project team would be reprimanded. The meeting was held in the large conference room, and all 3 teams of the large project group were present. It wasn't too common for all 3 project teams to gather for a meeting like this, as Yangli didn't like to waste time. As Yangli entered the conference room, Yunyan followed right behind him, raising her hand to knock on the conference room door. Behind her was a young girl carrying a delicate little box. Yangli hadn't expected her to come and was momentarily stunned. It wasn't just Yangli. All the colleagues in the conference room were quite curious, not understanding why the president's new assistant would come to their large project team. Yunyan, however, greeted everyone openly and politely. They say you don't hit a smiling face, and especially since the large project team had more men, and a beautiful woman was smiling at them, there was no reason not to respond. That would be too impolite, so everyone returned the greeting to Yunyan. Apparently, Yangli didn't want to see this scene. He looked at Yunyan, his tone cool. "Miss Yu, do you need materials even in the conference room? Don't you understand workplace rules? Or do you think our project team's work meeting is a joke that you don't take seriously?" As soon as he spoke, the conference room fell silent. Everyone present was familiar with Yang Li and knew that this tone and attitude meant he was on the verge of getting angry. Who dared to say more? They quickly shut up, looking down at their noses. And no one was stupid. Yang Li addressing her as Miss Yu clearly showed his meaning. In Yang Li's eyes, Yunyan was not qualified for the assistant position, at least not yet. Of course, Yunyan could also hear Yang Li's meaning. Yesterday she had tried to correct him, but at this moment she let him call her whatever he wanted. After all, whatever he called her was just a designation. If he was truly convinced, he would naturally call her Assistant Yu. Otherwise, no matter how much she emphasized it, it would be useless. She scanned the room, her gaze lingering on Bai Li opposite her for a few seconds. Bai Li's face was not looking good, and she had no makeup on, which made her look a bit haggard. Bai Li seemed indifferent to what was happening in the conference room. She didn't look at Yunyan, and throughout the process, she kept her head down, looking somewhat distracted, one hand subconsciously pressing her stomach as if she wasn't feeling well. Yunyan shifted her gaze away and smiled at Yang Li. "Vice President Yang, weren't you worried yesterday that I didn't understand the project enough? Last night, I went back and carefully reviewed the Nanzhou project materials, and it really is like crossing a mountain when you're in a different field, so it's no wonder you said that yesterday. Today I came to the meeting to understand the project in detail, so if there's anything I don't understand, or if my understanding is off, I could discuss it with everyone at any time." She glanced at the time, still smiling. "I'm quite observant of the rules you set, Vice President Yang. It's not even 10 yet. Oh, by the way, before the meeting starts, do you mind if I add some snacks for everyone?" Yunyan gently interrupted Yang Li, very enthusiastically. "This is Xiao Yi, a colleague from the supermarket project team. She's currently doing market and reputation research for a new product. So since everyone is here, and mostly target consumers, would you mind trying a sample?" Then she gave Xiao Yi a look. Helping colleagues is called solidarity and camaraderie. Yang Li, though clearly displeased, couldn't say much, especially since it was before the 10 o'clock meeting. No sooner had Xiao Yi finished distributing them than it was 10 o'clock. Xiao Yi said, "Everyone can drink while we have the meeting. We won't delay your time." Thank you, thank you. Once Xiao Yi left, Yunyan smiled and asked Yang Li, "Deputy General Yang, where can I sit?" Before Yang Li could speak, Bai Li unexpectedly interjected, "Assistant, you sit here." There was an empty spot next to Bai Li, just enough space for an extra chair. A perceptive colleague nearby immediately moved a chair over. Yunyan thanked him and sat down gracefully. Bai Li glanced at her without saying anything. The drink by her hand was plum-flavored. Bai Li twisted open the cap and took a few sips. It was more sour than sweet, but the plum flavor was rich and elegant, immediately easing the discomfort and churning in her stomach. Though Yunyan wasn't looking at her, she could tell the bottle hadn't left Bai Li's hand, and soon, a good quarter of it was gone. Although Yang Li had a difficult temper, it had to be said that he was extremely experienced in project operations. Yunyan was indeed intelligent, but opportunities for on-site learning like this were rare, so she dared not miss a single step, listening intently and taking notes. During this time, Yang Li cast several glances her way, perhaps not expecting her to be so serious. An entire morning passed. After the meeting, Yang Li kept Yunyan behind for a private conversation. "You're not here just for the project data. It's not that simple." Yang Li cut straight to the chase. Yunyan didn't beat around the bush with Yang Li either. They were both seasoned veterans in the market. What kind of people hadn't he seen? Being direct was the most time-efficient approach. "Yes, as a special assistant, I need to know the project situation and procedures in great detail, especially the Nanzhou expansion project." Yang Li's lips curved into a smile, but it was an ambiguous one. "I heard that Huang Jifa also had the good fortune to get involved in this project." "Miss Yu, coming from the prestigious Yu family, surely you know it's impossible for someone of Huang Jifa's caliber to lay hands on a Jiang family project." "I inadvertently heard something. I wonder if it's true." "Please say." Yunyan responded openly. It said that the reason Huang Jifa could participate in the project was due to Miss Yu's orchestration, and the Yu family also got a piece of the pie, didn't they? Yang Li frowned. If too much personal interest is mixed into a project, it's not far from going astray. If the Yu family gets a piece of the pie, how can you, Deputy General Yang, determine that I will definitely go astray? Yunyan asked, understanding the reason for Yang Li's prejudice against her. Indeed, nothing could be hidden from him. Where there are interests, greed arises. Where greed arises, one attempts to take shortcuts, Yang Li said. Yunyan smiled slightly. This project will bring greater benefits to you, Deputy General Yang, won't it? After all, you're the project leader. Once it's successfully built, it will be a significant highlight in your resume. And you should also be facing a promotion, right? So many headhunters are trying to poach you, but you remain unmoved. Isn't it actually for this project? In that case, can I also suspect that you, Deputy General Yang, would take shortcuts for success? Nonsense. Yang Li was displeased. Why would I ruin my own future? Then why would I forsake good money to go astray? Yunyan retorted. Yang Li was taken aback. Whether for profit or for future prospects, our goals are the same, to ensure this project proceeds smoothly. Long-term projects inherently have many uncertainties. If the people involved cannot support each other and don't work together, it will be difficult for the project to advance. I imagine you, Deputy General Yang, wouldn't want to waste your time and energy, would you? Yang Li stared at her, sneering, what a smooth talker. Can Deputy General Yang raise any doubts? He couldn't. Although Yang Li was wary of Yunyan in every way, he had to admit that what she said made sense. A moment later, he said grumpily, Mr. Jiang intends to put you in the project team, but it also depends on whether you have the ability to keep up. Yunyan softly said, as long as Deputy General Yang gives me the opportunity. In the first round against Yang Li, Yunyan still held the upper hand. But Yunyan knew clearly that her advantage this time was due to Yang Li's gentlemanly conduct. His displeasure was real, but it was also true that he wouldn't resort to underhanded tactics. Jiang Yunyan was very surprised that she could retrieve such detailed project information. Yang Li was a stubborn person. In the past, he always held something back when submitting data and project proposals, rarely divulging his behind-the-scenes resources. Yunyan also confirmed the golf appointment in time, telling Jiang Yunyan, actually, you know best how many resources the other party holds, so whether you meet or not, you've already made your decision. But a friendly reminder, the weather on your scheduled day isn't great. There's a temperature drop and strong winds. How about meeting in a tea house? The environment is comfortable, and I heard the other party is quite interested in the tea ceremony. Quite interested? Jiang Yunyan emphasized her description. Once people become rich and successful, they always want to elevate their status, aligning with the interests and hobbies of high society. It said that this person spent a high fee to hire a tea master to learn the tea ceremony and is quite serious about it. Jiang Ninian scrutinized her. You found all this out in just 2 days? Including the situation of the major project team members. If you want to praise my strong work efficiency, you can be direct. This person has strong stress resistance and can also withstand praise, Yunyan said. Jiang Ninian looked up at her, an unusual light in his eyes. Yunyan, unclear why, slightly raised an eyebrow. Jiang Yunyan chuckled softly. Different? What's different? You're different from your usual self, Jiang Yunyan said. It seems one truly needs to work. Coming to Zhongshu was indeed something she had never considered, because before, she thought if she ever entered the business world, it would be into the Yu family's business. These past 2 days have been exhausting. She spent her commute with Xiao Min looking through documents. She dared not make a mistake, because the entire Zhongshu company wasn't scrutinizing Jiang Yunyan's special assistant, but the daughter of the Yu family. She couldn't disgrace the Yu family. Future work will become increasingly complex. You need to manage your time well and remember to balance work and rest, Jiang Yunyan casually remarked. Yunyan was waiting for precisely this sentence and immediately bowed respectfully. Yes, I will definitely pay attention to balancing work and rest. How could Jiang Yunyan not see through her little intentions? He stopped her. Let's book the tea house. You can choose a place with a good environment later. I've already chosen one and informed the tea house. I'll send you the tea house address for your review, and we'll finalize the time if there are no issues, Yunyan informed him one by one. Jiang Yunyan chuckled lightly. Is this what they call acting first and reporting later? It is, but it's also because I'm certain you'll like that tea house. Also, I've already checked the surrounding environment of the tea house. It has no blind spots, ensuring safety, which is convenient for Lao Lu, and of course for the other party's bodyguards as well. Jiang Yunyan scoffed when he heard that. He used to be a very decent person, bought a few plots of land in the suburbs wanting to grow some crops, then got lucky with demolition dividends and became a demolition millionaire. People change when they get rich. Resources have increased, and I can understand wanting to align with high society, but why bring bodyguards? Yunyan knew Jiang Ninian usually only brought Lao Lu when going out. Most of the time, he didn't bring other bodyguards. Bringing Lao Lu was more for convenience. No one dared to bring bodyguards when meeting young Master Jiang. It was undoubtedly an act of provocation. Seeing his displeasure, Yunyan softly said, he doesn't have many bodyguards, just one, similar in nature to Lao Lu. I actually think. She hesitated for a moment. Jiang Yunyan slightly raised his eyes. Speak. I actually think the other party is imitating you in every way, trying to align with your style. And I checked on his personal bodyguard. He's from the same hometown as Lao Lu, Yunyan reported softly. Jiang Yunyan scoffed. How much is he worth to be so cautious? It was clear Jiang Yunyan looked down on such people. Their wealth wasn't earned through their own hard work, but purely by luck, riding the wave of dividends. But Yunyan said sometimes good luck is also a kind of ability. After all, there were so many others who didn't catch the demolition boom. Speaking of which, Yunyan suddenly had a strong feeling. Despite Jiang Yunyan's outwardly silent and mature demeanor, he could actually be quite childish sometimes in private. Like with this person he was about to meet. On one hand, he needed the resources in the other party's hands, but on the other, he rather looked down on their rags-to-riches story. What kind of person was this? Was this the kind of person everyone called both fake nice and bitchy? You either just don't use people's resources at all, or don't complain about others. Aren't you tired? Yunyan said this, then turned and left the office. Jiang Yunyan sat there for a long time before realizing. Was she just lecturing him? She had grown bolder. After leaving the office, Yunyan went to the restroom. This floor's restroom was quieter because there were fewer people on the floor. Generally, all sorts of workplace shenanigans happen in the restroom. For example, a group of colleagues bad-mouthing someone only for the person concerned to overhear, or ill-intentioned colleagues specifically coming to the restroom to stir up trouble. Yunyan encountered the latter. It wasn't that Ji Jia was particularly ill-intentioned, but Yunyan analyzed that with Ji Jia's personality, she probably wasn't the type to hide and backstab. Going in alone would be her normal modus operandi. Sure enough, Ji Jia waited until the restroom was empty before saying to Yunyan, "Let's talk." Yunyan was surprised. "Here." Ji Jia stood in front of the mirror and said disdainfully, "Once we leave the restroom, it's work time. I don't want to waste time on you." Yunyan unhurriedly asked her, "Then can you confirm there's no one inside?" Ji Jia paused slightly, went back to check the inner stalls, and when she returned, she washed her hands again. "No one, it's just the two of us in the entire restroom." She cast a sidelong glance at Yunyan. "You're quite cautious." "Haven't eaten pork, but haven't I seen a pig run?" Yunyan replied blandly. Seeing Ji Jia's surprise, she casually added, "No big deal, I often see it happen like that in TV dramas." Ji Jia scoffed. You should understand one thing. You're in the workplace, not acting in a TV drama. So there's no need for so much drama between you and me. Like this morning, you clearly heard what I said in the office, and you acted like nothing happened all day, Ji Jia said coldly. Yunyin found it amusing. You badmouth me and complain behind my back, and now you blame me for not confronting you? Secretary Ji, what do you want? To confront you in front of everyone? To force you to write me a 5,000-word apology letter in front of Mr. Jiang? You? Ji Jia, frankly, I don't understand your purpose in cornering me in the restroom. Yunyin reached for the water, with her fingertips, and then smoothed down her stray bangs. If what happened this morning made you feel like a clown, then just don't do it again. After all, we're colleagues. It's not good to badmouth someone behind their back. Are you taking advantage and still playing innocent now? Does Mr. Jiang know this sharp-tongued side of you? The side that can corner a colleague with no way out. Ji Jia's expression was highly displeased. Yunyin found it amusing, but she didn't bother with useless arguments with Ji Jia. She said, are these words coming from the CEO's secretary or from a secret admirer? Ji Jia flinched. What secret admirer? What nonsense are you talking about? Yunyin didn't want to waste time with her. That sentence was purely asking for trouble. She turned to leave, but Ji Jia stopped her. We're not finished talking. What do you mean by leaving now? It's still work hours. It's already quite enough that I've wasted this much time listening to your baseless complaints. I'm not a psychological counselor. If Secretary Ji can't get over this mental hurdle, perhaps you should see a professional doctor. And I'd like to give Secretary Ji a kind reminder, Yunyin softly interrupted her. I think in the workplace, especially in a place like Zhongshu, the biggest taboo is falling for your superior. If you truly like him, then work hard outside of work hours, instead of slandering his newly appointed special assistant behind his back. The position of special assistant is different from other positions. It absolutely requires Mr. Zhang's approval. Since I was personally chosen by him, weren't your words this morning slapping his face? Covertly accusing him of poor judgment in hiring? Mr. Jiang understands my personality. He knows I didn't mean to criticize him. Ji Jia sneered. Yunyin wagged her index finger at her. Never use experience or understanding to judge a man, especially your superior. That's my advice to you. With that, Yunyin walked away without looking back. Ji Jia's face was flushed, angry, and annoyed. Mrs. Huang called Yunyin, sounding overjoyed. She told Yunyin, Director Su has agreed to cooperate. Are you free tonight? I'd like to meet you. We absolutely must celebrate. Yunyin definitely wasn't free tonight. She had a pile of documents to digest. But she was happy for Mrs. Huang. It's clear Director Su is very cautious, taking this long. I thought he would decide that same night. Old fox, cautious in everything. Only nodding in agreement when completely sure there are no problems. Mrs. Huang then lowered her voice and told Yunyin, next is to kick Huang Jifa out. Sometimes Yunyin wondered if this incident with Mrs. Huang was a storm she had stirred up. But Mrs. Huang had genuinely told her, I won't lie to you. I've truly had enough of those days where we pretended to be an affectionate couple in public, but were practically strangers in private. Huang Jifa has cheated more than once or twice. Before, he was cautious and tried to save face for our Su family. But as his power in the company grew, he started acting without restraint. I can't just stand by and watch myself be ruined, can I? While the Su family still has some capability, otherwise, wouldn't it be even worse to be kicked out by him when we're truly powerless? Mrs. Huang was a clear-headed person after enduring the hammer blows of marriage. Finally, she said, I won't make empty promises. You helped me this time, and I owe you a big favor. I'll acknowledge this favor whenever you come to collect it. Yunyin said, I'm already very grateful that Dr. Su could help find specialists to treat my mother's illness. Su Huai's enthusiasm isn't because of me. Mrs. Huang, Yunyin gently interrupted her. Mrs. Huang chuckled, all right, I know. Su Huai also told me that you two are just friends for now, but I have a personal wish. I always hope you two could develop your relationship further. Yunyin softly said, matters of the heart depend on fate. Oh, Mrs. Huang sighed softly, then lowered her voice. I also saw what happened with old Mrs. Jiang recognizing relatives. You need to understand that everyone scrambles for gain in this world, and I estimate that many people will actively seek you out in the future. You must handle it well, and remember the feeling of being abandoned when a Yu family fell on hard times. That way, you won't be blinded by dazzling things later on. Yunyin understood Mrs. Huang's meaning and softly said, don't worry, I'll handle it well. The call with Mrs. Huang wasn't long, because Yunyin didn't have much time either. During the drowsy afternoon, Yunyin submitted the drafted report to Jiang Yinyin half an hour before the meeting, allowing him enough time to review it. Jiang Yinyin took the report, glanced at it briefly, and then said, you'll attend the meeting. Me? Yunyin was surprised. Isn't it enough for the secretary to just record the departmental report meeting? Jiang Yinyan lazily said, having you with me is enough. Yunyan thought to herself, you hire one special assistant and can save the work of the entire secretarial department. Any objections? Jiang Yinyan, seeing her unusual expression, leaned closer and asked with a deliberate smile. How could I dare? You're my superior. I'd go through fire and water. Yunyan subtly retreated 2 steps. The window behind her wasn't covered. Anything happening inside could be seen from outside. Jiang Yinyan smiled without speaking. To her surprise, Jiang Yinyan had her attend not a departmental report meeting, but a meeting with the brand strategy department. This was a completely new battlefield. It felt completely different from having a meeting with the project team. It wasn't as meticulous as a project team meeting, but it was equally intense, a complete battle and storm of intellect. Yunyan had heard Yu Wanzhou mention it before. Back when the Yu family was still prominent, Yu Wanzhou's biggest headache was attending brand strategy meetings with his father. Yu Wanzhou had said, those people in the brand department are really, truly imaginative. You think their logic is completely off, but they can always bring it back down to earth in the end. In this meeting, Yunyan acted entirely as a recorder and listener, observing how the brand department colleagues managed to make seemingly ethereal ideas take root. They were more like the parents of a brand, planning its entire future life from its birth, including potential problems at each stage, countermeasures, and what resources the brand would need. Currently, the brand department's main focus was also collaborating with a large project team, but Yunyan could see that Jiang Yinyan was more concerned with the early planning of projects. During the meeting, he was mostly silent, largely listening, but when he made a decision, it was incisive and practical. Following him these past 2 days, Yunyan's perception of Jiang Yinyan had actually changed quite a bit. Previously, she had always felt that he had merely leveraged the benefits of his return to the Jiang family and the old man's guilt to climb to power step by step. But now, seeing him tirelessly work on projects, seeing him engage in social events for mutual benefit, and observing him personally involved in company affairs while always maintaining high rationality, changed her view. For instance, in this brainstorming session, although Jiang Yinyan spoke little, he was undoubtedly the spiritual leader of the entire meeting. Any viewpoints he expressed and methods he suggested were well thought out, logical, and convincing, not simply enforced by his position as president. Although today was Yunyan's official meeting with the brand department team, she could tell that these people were all highly competitive. If Jiang Yinyan didn't have the capability, he wouldn't be able to win their willing cooperation. A meeting ran until closing time, and Jiang Yinyan still couldn't rest. Yunyan then presented another arrangement. Director Su will be here in 5 minutes. The company's small conference room is ready, and I've asked admin to prepare refreshments. She glanced at the time again and told Jiang Yinyan, Director Su arriving at this hour clearly aims to invite you to dinner. I declined tonight's dinner previously, didn't I? Jiang Yinyan asked. Yes, because there would be many people at the banquet, so you declined it, Yunyan analyzed rationally. Director Su clearly knows your schedule for tonight, and he came alone, without even bringing a secretary. His intention is quite obvious. Jiang Yinyan chuckled. At most, he's just using moral blackmail. I'm a person with no particular moral integrity. As they spoke, the secretarial office announced that Director Su had arrived. Yunyan personally went downstairs to greet him. Director Su was quite curious about Yunyan all the way, probably finding her familiar but unable to recall who she was, so he casually asked about other things. As soon as his front foot stepped into the small meeting room, his back foot remembered. With a look of realization, he told Jiang Yinyan, I was wondering what kind of woman could be President Zhang's special assistant. Turns out, it's a Yu family's young lady. Jiang Yinyan gave a slight smile that didn't reach his eyes. What do you mean by that, Director Su? It was a clear warning and displeasure. Director Su had come for his own benefit. How could he risk offending someone? He quickly said, I didn't mean anything by it, I just said it casually. As he said this, Yunyan had already left. For such private meetings, unless the superior specifically requested the assistant's presence, there was no role for a special assistant. Jiang Yinyan had dismissed her, though initially, that wasn't his decision. Before Director Su arrived, he had said, you need to attend this one too. Yunyan was quite surprised, as this involved deeper levels of interest exchange, and she was, after all, an outsider. But he retracted this decision after seeing Director Su, telling her, you can leave now. She didn't know if it was related to Director Su's remark. If it was Jiang Yinyan afraid that outsiders would think he wasn't professional in his hiring? Yunyan couldn't be bothered to ponder such insignificant things. Just as she sat back down at her desk, her phone vibrated. It was a message from Jiang Yinyan. Wait for me. Yunyan's heart fluttered as she stared at those 2 words. Wait for me. It certainly wasn't about waiting for him to assign work. Yunyan felt overwhelmed. She thought for a moment and dialed Xiao Min's number, thinking she might need her to save her from a tricky situation later. But the call wouldn't go through. What was going on? Xiao Min had been incredibly busy all day, so busy her feet felt like they were kicking the back of her head, completely unaware her phone had run out of battery. It wasn't until several departments tried to reach her that she realized it. After plugging in her power bank, she immediately forgot about her phone again. Yuan Zhou called her 10 times. Then he called the reception desk at her agency, asking, "Is your editor-in-chief Xiao in the office?" The receptionist checked and replied that she was in the office. After calling several more times, Yuan Zhou called the front desk again. "Are you sure editor-in-chief Xiao is in the office?" The receptionist was bewildered, checked again, and replied, "Yes, she's definitely here, but she's busy." Yuan Zhou stopped calling after that. Later, tired of waiting in the car, he got out and went directly into the agency. Although they had known each other for years, Yuan Zhou didn't often visit the agency, so the young receptionist didn't recognize him. Hearing his voice from the phone and seeing his outstanding appearance, the receptionist became incredibly enthusiastic. Privately, they were whispering, "Is he a model here for an audition? He's so handsome." Yes, he's even more appealing than popular male celebrities. There might have been auditions for aspiring stars and models today, as many handsome men and beautiful women were coming and going. Yuan Zhou didn't ask the receptionist to call Xiao Min, but waited on the sofa. The receptionist brought him tea and coffee, along with fruit and various pastries, and even asked if he hadn't eaten and if it was convenient for him to eat now. They really took him for someone auditioning. Yuan Zhou declined, casually picking up a magazine to read. Coincidentally, there was an issue with an interview with Xiao Min, and he noticed it was quite an old one. Yuan Zhou suddenly recalled what Xiao Min had said. Asterisk, when this magazine was first founded, no one was optimistic about it. Big-name celebrities couldn't be invited at all, and some sections couldn't be filled, so we had to step in ourselves and do the special features. The hardship back then was immense. Asterisk. In a profit-driven society, isn't it the same in every industry? The interview mainly revolved around Xiao Min's work and daily habits. Her work was largely similar to others in terms of breaking new ground. The path to success for all entrepreneurs has similarities and differences. When it came to her personal life, love was naturally one topic. It was mostly questions about encountering all sorts of people in her line of work, many of whom were excellent men, and if she had ever been moved by any of them. Xiao Min's answers were quite official, stating that she kept her personal life and work very separate and had never developed feelings for a work associate. When asked about the type of opposite sex she was attracted to, Xiao Min said, "Who doesn't have a youth in white in their heart?" She was then asked if she had ever met her youth in white. Xiao Min replied, "The youth in white must be kept hidden in one's heart. Why not bravely pursue him?" Xiao Min said, "The youth in white is more like a dream, because the youth in white will always grow up, but I don't want the dream to shatter." Yuan Zhou closed the magazine, deep in thought. After waiting for almost another hour, Xiao Min finally came down from upstairs, surrounded by quite a few people, both men and women, like a celebrity's entourage. The young man walking beside Xiao Min looked quite young and was very affectionate towards her, calling her Jia, sister, and Qinjia, dear sister, with a remarkably sweet tone. The person next to him was likely his agent, who was also very flattering. It was clear that they were promoting a new talent, the standard demeanor of a newcomer. It was just, was this newcomer a bit too eager? As he spoke, he was about to put his arm around Xiao Min. Just as his arm was about to reach her, a large hand shot out and intercepted it. The newcomer froze, then looked up. Xiao Min hadn't noticed at first, but she paused when she saw someone standing in front of her. She looked up and found it was Yuan Zhou. Slightly startled, she turned her head to follow his gaze and saw that he was gripping the newcomer's arm. "Oh, that hurts. Who are you? Let go." The newcomer was displeased, and when he said it hurt, he sounded a bit deliberately pathetic. Hearing that tone, Yuan Zhou sneered inwardly. Asterisk, this trick? This is what he used to do all the time, pretending to be pathetic in front of his sister. Said it hurts, did he? Asterisk, Yuan Zhou, going along with it, increased the pressure, making it hurt him even more. This time, it was clearly genuine pain. The newcomer's face contorted, and the sounds he made could only be described as hysterical. Xiao Min slapped his hand. "Let go, what are you doing?" Yuan Zhou glanced at the newcomer, then released his grip. The newcomer pulled up his sleeve to see a red mark around his wrist. The agent was displeased and said sarcastically, "Editor-in-chief Xiao, is this a friend of yours? You don't bully people like this, do you? Although my artist is a new face, he still has a path to walk in this industry." Xiao Min looked at the agent and softly said, "I apologize, my younger brother has a bad temper. He probably saw what your artist was about to do and misunderstood in the heat of the moment." Then she looked at the newcomer. "What were you about to do just now?" The newcomer awkwardly scratched his head and said nothing. The agent saw the situation and knew his side was at fault, so he quickly changed his tune. "Oh, so it's editor-in-chief, Xiao's younger brother. He's really handsome. You have such a good-looking brother. It's a pity you're not promoting him." Before Xiao Min could speak, Yuanzhou calmly said, "Can we go now?" Actually, Xiao Min was already confused by Yu Zhuanzhou's appearance at the magazine office, and his question made her even more so. Before she could react, Yuanzhou clasped her wrist. "Since work is over, let's go." With that, he pulled Xiao Min away, leaving the agent and the newcomer staring blankly at each other, and the passing colleagues, who were all astonished by what they saw. She directly got into Yu Zhuanzhou's car. Xiao Min saw that his expression was off and couldn't immediately understand the source of his mood. She thought for a moment and asked, "Did you come looking for me today for something specific?" Yuanzhou didn't immediately start the car. He turned to look at her. "Don't you want to check your phone first?" Xiao Min, not understanding, pulled out her phone from her bag and only then realized after seeing it. So many missed calls. It must be something urgent. "What happened?" she asked anxiously. She hoped desperately that nothing had happened to Yunyan. However, Yuanzhou just stared at her, not saying anything for a long time. His stare made Xiao Min feel uneasy. "What is it?" "Xiao Min," Yuanzhou began. Yunyan was just thinking about going through the project documents one more time when, unexpectedly, she received a call. It was Su Huai. Yunyan's expression changed after only a few words. She put down her phone, grabbed her coat and bag, and rushed out of the company. Once in the car, she told the driver the destination. It was only as they drove out of the city that Yunyan remembered she hadn't said goodbye to Jiang Yunyan. She took out her phone, pondering an appropriate message. She slid open her phone screen and first typed, "Young Master Yin," then thought better of it and changed it to, "General Manager Jiang, it's quitting time. I'm leaving now." The message was sent. It was like a stone sinking into the sea. Yunyan didn't know if Jiang Yunyan was busy entertaining director Su and hadn't seen his phone, or if he deliberately didn't reply. She always thought the latter was unlikely. A grown man wouldn't be so petty. Yunyan changed it to General Manager Jiang to imply that he should stick to business and not mix personal matters with work. There was no response from him, so Yunyan gave up. In the meantime, she called Su Huai again to inquire about the situation. Su Huai said, "We're trying to bring down her fever. Don't worry too much. The situation hasn't worsened." It happened to be Su Huai's day off, so he went to the sanatorium to visit Song Lan and discuss her recent condition with the specialist there. Everything had been fine. Song Lan recognized him and could even chat with him briefly. Afterward, she went to the greenhouse alone, continuing to tend to her potted flower, caring for the orchid as if it were a child. Her eyes were incredibly gentle when she was adding soil and fertilizing it. The temperature was a bit low tonight, with subtle signs of impending snow. Su Huai was in the middle of talking to a specialist when he heard a nurse shout, "Ms. Song has collapsed." There were many women named Song at the sanatorium, but only Song Lan was referred to as Ms. Song. This was Song Lan's insistence. She didn't like being called anything else, especially not Auntie, so everyone knew who Ms. Song was. Song Lan had a fever, a sudden high fever, right before Su Huai's eyes. The sanatorium knew of Yunyan's anxiety, so they immediately tried to contact her, but Su Huai said he would do it. It wasn't a weekend, so the road out of the city wasn't jammed. By the time they reached the sanatorium, sporadic snowflakes began to fall. Su Huai was inside helping and hadn't come out. Just as Yunyan was about to go in, she saw another car approaching. Upon closer inspection, it was Yu Zhuanzhou's car. Yuanzhou also saw her. He parked the car and quickly got out. Xiao Min had actually come along too. "Why are you all here?" "It shouldn't be anything serious," Yunyan reassured Yuanzhou. Yuanzhou said, "I came straight here after getting the call from the sanatorium. Thermometer condition. A fever could be a big deal or a small one." Xiao Min asked about the current situation, but Yunyan had just arrived and didn't know the latest details. The three of them quickly entered the sanatorium. Although Song Lan had collapsed, she recovered after about 10 minutes, lying weakly on the hospital bed. Her face was even paler, and she seemed to have lost more weight. As soon as Yunyan saw Song Lan's appearance, tears almost welled up, but she held them back, enduring. Song Lan was still feverish. Su Huai said her fever had peaked at 40 degrees Celsius earlier and had now come down a bit. Relevant blood tests had been done, and they were currently waiting for the results. Yunyan sat down, gently took Song Lan's hand, and asked, "Mom, are you uncomfortable anywhere?" Since coming to the sanatorium, Song Lan had mostly been withdrawn, not communicating with people. Even when facing Yunyan, Song Lan didn't appear particularly familiar or warm. She paid no heed, treating Yunyan as if she were air. All of Yunyan's tension and fear from the journey somewhat collapsed at this moment. She didn't know why heaven would do this, making the perfectly fine Yu family fall apart, taking her father away, and making the only blood relative mother she had in this world ignore her. Perhaps it was because too much had happened since the Yu family's incident. but Yun Yin's tears couldn't be held back anymore, falling in large drops. She tightly clasped Song Lan's hand and called out, "Mom, please say something to me. Don't let her feel like even the sky itself has disappeared from this world." Unexpectedly, Song Lan reacted. She slightly turned her face to look at Yun Yin, and as she gazed, a strange light appeared in her eyes. This had never happened before. It wasn't that she completely ignored Yun Yin previously. There were times she got emotional, but she had never looked at her this way. Yun Yin was quite excited, gripping her hand even tighter. "Mom, it's Nian Yin. Do you still remember me?" "Nian Nian," Song Lan murmured, a rare occurrence. Yun Yin nodded repeatedly. The suppression in her heart swept away, replaced by nervousness and excitement. Did she remember her? Even if it was just a faint impression. Yuan Zhou was also quite emotional, leaning closer to observe carefully. But the next second, Song Lan suddenly frowned, pushed Yun Yin away, and reprimanded, "Stay away from me." Yun Yin hadn't expected Song Lan's reaction to be so strong, and with such extreme disgust, she was deeply struck for a moment. Her emotions somewhat out of control, she rushed forward and tightly clasped Song Lan's hand again. "Mom, it's Nian Yin. How can you not even recognize me?" Song Lan, however, didn't seem startled. She stared fixedly at Yun Yin, the expression in her eyes so unfamiliar that it made one's heart race. But what made Yun Yin suddenly lose her courage was the hatred in Song Lan's eyes. Such palpable hatred shot out from her eyes, unconcealed, making Yun Yin lose all momentum for a moment. A chill ran down her back, and cold sweat slid down her forehead. Her own biological mother was looking at her, as if she were an enemy. "Mom," Yun Yin's voice trembled. Disgust and hatred were etched in every line of Song Lan's face. She kept waving her hand at Yun Yin. "Go away, go away." Yun Yin felt chilled to the bone. Xiao Min gently pulled her aside and whispered, "Aunt Lan doesn't recognize people right now, so it's normal for her to act this way towards you." Yun Yin stood there, bewildered, a turmoil of pain churning inside her. Yuan Zhou sat by the bedside and spoke softly to Song Lan. "Mom, please calm down first, settle your emotions." Song Lan's attitude towards Yuan Zhou had always been much the same as towards others. Either she ignored him, or she spoke incoherent words. Today, however, Song Lan also showed an unusual reaction when facing Yuan Zhou. She was scrutinizing him. The light in her eyes was very strange, making Yuan Zhou nervous, fearing she might emotionally push him away again the next second. "Zhou." Song Lan seemed to be trying hard to identify the man in front of her. Upon hearing this name, Yuan Zhou nearly shed tears. He grabbed Song Lan's hand, his voice choked. "Mom, it's me, I'm Zhou." Song Lan didn't push him away. Instead, she looked at him with a puzzled expression. "Why are you here? Why haven't you gone back yet?" As soon as she said this, Yuan Zhou froze completely. Not only Yuan Zhou reacted this way, but even Yun Yin was stunned, staring at Song Lan in amazement. Xiaomin also looked surprised, glancing at Yuan Zhou, then at Song Lan. Su Huai was an outsider and unaware of the specifics of the situation, so he was only observing Song Lan's mental state and didn't care about what she said. "You should go back. It's time to go back," Song Lan said earnestly. Yuan Zhou looked uncomfortable. "Mom, what are you talking about? You're here. Where could I go?" Song Lan sighed heavily, didn't answer Yuan Zhou's question, and just waved her hand at him. "Go back. Why aren't you leaving? Are you going to continue letting the Yu family bleed you dry?" "Mom!" Yun Yin exclaimed, aghast. That cry seemed to awaken Song Lan. She raised her eyes to look at Yun Yin, and her gaze, which had just been relatively soft, turned cold again. She said word by word, "Look, exactly like your father." Yun Yin's heart trembled. Hearing these words, Yuan Zhou no longer cared about Su Huai's presence. He took Song Lan's hand again and asked her, "Mom, what do you mean by that?" But Song Lan stopped talking to them and looked at her potted flower with gentle eyes again. The doctor came in with the test results. Basically, there wasn't a big problem. The collapse was due to low blood sugar, and the fever was likely caused by a slight chill from the recent drop in temperature. All in all, it was a false alarm. But a thorn had grown in Yun Yin's heart. She didn't understand why her mother spoke that way, why she looked at her as if she were an enemy. And she felt her mother's hatred stemmed from her father? How could that be? Her parents' relationship was exceptionally good. Yun Yin dared to swear that they were definitely not like those superficial couples in their circle who feigned affection. They genuinely loved each other. She had seen countless instances of it in the past. Seeing her downcast expression, Su Huai comforted her. "Take it slow. Miss Song's thoughts are muddled right now. Don't take what she says to heart." Xiaomin subtly glanced at Su Huai, then gently pulled Yun Yin closer, saying, "You, please don't argue with the patient. Aunt Lan's situation is special right now. Anything she says is normal. If you believe everything and take it all to heart, you'll be finished. You won't be able to live well." Seeing that it was quite late, the doctor suggested they go back first. They would give her medicine again shortly, and then let her sleep. Seeing that Songlan was fine, the group was relieved. As they walked out, the snow grew heavier, falling densely and softly. Su Huai had intended to take off his coat to cover Yunyan's head, but before he could act, a car in the distance suddenly flashed its headlights and stopped within the sanatorium's courtyard, quite brazenly. The sanatorium's security guards probably didn't dare provoke the newcomer and just stood there, not intervening. Yunyan suddenly stopped. She recognized the car. Her heart immediately pounded. Su Huai, Yuan Zhou, and Xiaomin also stopped when they saw this scene unfold. The car door opened. Long, strong legs clad in suit trousers, shiny leather shoes, stepping onto the snow. A black umbrella extended out, opened, and then the person himself stepped forward, holding the umbrella. Upon recognizing the newcomer, Yu Zhuanzhou's face suddenly turned grim. Xiaomin subconsciously glanced at Yuan Zhou, her heart also pounding. Then she looked at Yunyan, whose face was equally grim. Jiang Ninian slowly walked forward, his gaze sweeping from Yu Zhuanzhou's face to Yunyan's. He tilted the umbrella over her head and asked, "Do you need help?" Yunyan hadn't expected him to come, but she wasn't too surprised that he managed to find this place, even though few people knew the current whereabouts of Mrs. Yu. He was Jiang Ninian. If he set his mind to investigate, there was nothing he couldn't uncover. Yuan Zhou was wary of Jiang Yinyan. He stepped slightly forward to shield Yunyan and looked at Jiang Yinyan. "My mother is fine. No need to trouble young Master Yin." Jiang Yinyan's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Given our acquaintance, it's no trouble at all." He then looked at Yunyan. "You never told me Aunt Lan was at this sanatorium." Yunyan pressed her red lips together. "What difference would it make if I told you or not?" she thought to herself. "Young Master Su is also here," Jiang Yinyan said with a faint smile. How could Su Huai not know Jiang Yinyan? He extended his hand. "Young Master Yin, it's a pleasure." Jiang Yinyan gave the Su family some face by shaking Su Huai's hand, but his words were not overly polite. "If I'm not mistaken, young Master Su doesn't work here, does he?" Su Huai smiled. "I just happen to be able to help with Ms. Song's situation." Jiang Yinyan raised an eyebrow slightly. "Oh, so young Master Su has plenty of free time." Su Huai perceived the aggression in Jiang Yinyan's eyes. Regardless of whether he had been accepted by Yunyan, his innate male competitive instinct flared up. He said, "Whether I have plenty of time or not is another matter. If one wants to make time, there will always be some. It just depends on whether one wants to make it." As soon as he said this, not only did Jiang Yinyan's eyes darken, but Yuan Zhou also frowned slightly. Xiaomin, the transparent person, timely intervened. "It's snowing and too cold. I think we should leave quickly, or it'll be harder to drive when the snow gets heavier." She had originally intended to defuse the current awkward situation, but then Xiao Min immediately realized another practical and tricky problem. Whose car would Yunyan get into? If Jiang Yinyan hadn't appeared, she would undoubtedly have gotten into Yu Zhuanzhou's car. Even if Su Huai had intentions, Yunyan had none. But with Jiang Yinyan here, the situation became complicated. He had come specifically for Yunyan. Would he allow her to get into someone else's car? And clearly, Yuan Zhou wouldn't let her leave with Jiang Yinyan either. Giving Yunyan the decision would undoubtedly be pushing her into a pit of fire. Just as this scene was about to unfold, a nurse rushed out from inside. Seeing that they were still there, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. "It's great you haven't left yet. We still need your help." Ms. Song refuses to take her medicine. Songlan was not cooperating with her medication. She kept shouting, for some reason, that they were all poison, and she wouldn't take them or fall for it. Su Huai, as a doctor, took the lead. Upon returning to the room, he began coaxing Songlan to take her medicine, assuring her it was just cold medicine and she needn't worry. But Songlan adamantly refused to take it. Yunyan had actually wanted to step forward several times, but lacked the courage. She wasn't afraid of being rejected by her mother. She was afraid that stepping forward again would provoke her mother's emotions, which had only just stabilized with difficulty. Yuan Zhou and Xiao Min had both tried, pleading repeatedly, but Songlan, for some reason, was throwing a childish tantrum, absolutely refusing to take her medicine. Just as Songlan was frowning and pushing them away, she suddenly saw Jiang Yinyan in the crowd and froze. No one else had expected her to react this way, and they all turned to look at Jiang Yinyan. Yunyan stared at the scene, inadvertently recalling a scene she had once witnessed. Jiang Yinyan pointing a gun at her father. She wondered if her mother had seen that scene. She was terrified that her mother might become agitated or that something uncontrollable might happen upon seeing Jiang Yinyan. But to everyone's surprise, Songlan spoke. Her voice was very soft and a little hesitant. "Ian." Yunyan flinched. Yu Zhuanzhou's breathing quickened slightly, and he frowned, watching everything. Xiaomin was surprised, but didn't show much of it. After hearing the address, Su Huai's eyes showed confusion. Yunyan quietly approached Jiang Yinyan. She wanted to ask him not to be so cold and stern in his attitude. After all, her mother was already a patient. Even if he hated the Yu family, he shouldn't blame her mother. Before she could speak, she saw Jiang Yinyan slowly step forward. Jiang Yinyan called Song Lan Aunt Lan, using his former identity as Ian. When Ian came to the Jiang family years ago, he was only 15, the youngest of many bodyguards, but he became Yunyan's personal bodyguard. Although he was quite skilled in fighting, in Song Lan's eyes, he was just a child. So, she didn't let him call her Madame like the other bodyguards. She told him to call her Aunt Lan instead. She also remarked, in ordinary families, aren't children his age all guided by their fathers and cherished by their mothers? She felt Ian was a child with a difficult fate. Because Ian was always wherever Yunyan was, sometimes when Song Lan was admiring flowers in the garden, she would chat with Yunyan and also with Ian. In Song Lan's eyes, Ian was not a bodyguard in the usual sense. She cared for him as if he were her own child. Therefore, Yunyan had always believed that Ian had never suffered any injustice in the Yu family. Her mother, Song Lan, treated Ian very gently, and her father, Yui Yuan, helped Ian complete his studies. Of course, Ian also reciprocated with his unwavering loyalty. Yunyan felt that even if Ian left the Yu family, it shouldn't have ended in such a complete rupture. Tonight, when Yunyan heard Jiang Yinyan calmly and composedly call out Aunt Lan, she was actually quite shocked. Only then did she realize something. Jiang Yinyan seemed to have never, from start to finish, tried to conceal his past as Ian. It was just that no one deliberately brought it up, so he wouldn't explicitly mention it unless he was in front of her. Su Huai's suspicion was not unfounded, because, based on his connection to the Jiang family, Jiang Yinyan was of a different generation than her. Furthermore, old Mrs. Jiang had officially announced their reunion as family to the outside world, which further cemented this generational discrepancy. By any measure, Jiang Yinyan should not have been calling Song Lan Aunt Lan. Mom, Yuanzhou really didn't want to see this scene. He called out, but the rest of his words remained unspoken. What could he say? That the person before them was no longer Ian, that his true identity was young Master Yin of the Jiang family? But even if he said these things, would his mother be able to comprehend them? Song Lan heard Yu Zhuanzhou's call, looked up at him, seemingly quite pleased, and pointed at Jiang Yinyan, saying to Yuanzhou, "It's rare for you two to get along peacefully today. You used to always be at odds." Yuanzhou felt a pang in his heart and couldn't utter another word. These were all matters of the past. Song Lan's gaze returned to Jiang Yinyan's face, and she smiled. "It seems I haven't seen you in a while." Yes, Jiang Yinyan's attitude remained gentle. "Aunt Lan, when you're sick, you need to take your medicine. It's the same principle as when you used to tell me that injuries need to be treated promptly." Song Lan looked at him, thought for a moment, and asked, "How are your wounds recovering?" "They've already healed." Song Lan nodded and said softly, "It must have been hard for you, still a child yourself, yet having to protect others." Jiang Yinyan slightly lowered his gaze and said softly, "It was my duty." Yunyan, standing nearby, felt her heart violently struck by those three words for some reason. She looked at Jiang Yinyan before her, impeccably dressed in a noble suit, no longer the compliant youth he once was. Yet at this moment, as he lowered his eyes and spoke softly, Yunyan felt as if she saw Ian. The Ian of the past, who had always grown up by her side. Without the collapse of a Yu family, without being treated with hatred, there would have been only smooth sailing, and Ian would have remained unchanged. Alas, things remained, but people had changed. Jiang Yinyan turned and asked the nurse where the medicine was. The nurse obediently handed over the medicine. An uninformed person might even think Jiang Yinyan was Song Lan's only immediate family member. "Aunt Lan, time for your medicine," Jiang Yinyan said in a soft, calm tone. There was no deliberate coaxing, nor any excessive words. Unexpectedly, Song Lan actually listened to him and took the medicine without a word. Yu Zhuanzhou's face was grim. Xiao Min, standing by, saw it clearly. How could his face be pleasant? The person closest to her couldn't persuade her to take it, but she obeyed an outsider immediately. Yunyan's eyes were a little red. She slightly turned her head away. Xiao Min stood beside her and, seeing this, reached out to pat her shoulder in comfort. After Song Lan finished her medicine, Jiang Yinyan pulled up her blanket. "Aunt Lan, it's time to sleep. Only with good rest can your body recover." She nodded, but didn't lie down immediately. Instead, she beckoned to Yuanzhou. "Azhou, come here." Yuanzhou, not understanding, walked to the bedside. "Mom." Song Lan looked at Yuanzhou, took his hand, then looked at Jiang Yinyan, took his hand as well, and unexpectedly placed Yu Zhuanzhou's hand on Jiang Yinyan's. This action made everyone present pause in surprise, especially the two people directly involved. Yuanzhou instinctively tried to withdraw his hand when he realized what was happening, but Song Lan held it tightly, refusing to let him pull free. Song Lan looked at Jiang Yinyan and said softly, "You need to take Ajo home." Jiang Yinyan didn't react at first, but when he did, his expression stiffened. Yu Zhuanzhou's breathing gradually quickened, and he pressed his lips tightly together. "Ajo, you must listen to Ian. He's older than you and skilled. With him, you'll surely get home safely." After Song Lan finished speaking, perhaps truly tired, she yawned, lay down, and gestured to them. "Don't stay here. Go do whatever you need to do. I'm tired." On the way back to the city, Yunyan got into Jiang Yinyan's car. Yu Wanzhou was naturally unwilling, but Yunyan told him, "I have something to ask Jiang Yinyan." Su Huai came alone and left alone. Before getting into the car, Yunyan spoke a few words privately with Su Huai. "Ajo and I both understand my mother's condition. At least for now, there's nothing we can do but take things one step at a time. So, Su Huai, thank you for your help during this period." Su Huai said softly, "You don't need to be so polite with me. This is what I should do." Yunyan shook her head. "You don't owe me anything, so there's no should or shouldn't for you to do." Su Huai smiled slightly. "I know you're helping my aunt." Yunyan was startled. "Don't misunderstand. My aunt didn't tell me anything," Su Huai said gently. "But I knew after I ran into that girl named An in that time." Yunyan was amazed by his keen observation. "But actually, my coming here has nothing to do with whether you're helping my aunt," he continued. "At first, I had ulterior motives, thinking I had an advantage being close. But following along these past days, I found Aunt Song's condition to be very unique and well worth researching and discussing. I hope I'm not being rude by saying this." Yunyan shook her head. "So, personally, I still hope to continue following your mother's condition, but it's still up to you," Su Huai said. Yunyan was quite grateful to Su Huai. He was always so considerate of her. She said, "Your work schedule is quite demanding, so please don't worry about my mother's situation. Of course, if you have time and want to study her condition, you can contact the sanatorium anytime. I have no objections and would welcome it." Su Huai actually understood the polite refusal beneath her words, smiled, and said, "All right." Although she didn't get into Yu Zhuanzhou's car, Yu Wanzhou still hadn't driven away. He just waited there for Yunyan. Jiang Yinyan's car was parked behind Yu Zhuanzhou's. Perhaps impatient from waiting, his car window slowly lowered, and he said, "It's time to go." All the way back, Su Huai's car drove in front. Perhaps knowing there was no longer any possibility for him, his car drove quite fast and disappeared from sight after about 10 minutes. Both Yu Zhuanzhou's car and Jiang Yinyan's car were heading back to the city, taking the same route. Yu Zhuanzhou's car was always in front, and Jiang Yinyan's car was always behind. The car in front didn't accelerate, and the car behind didn't try to overtake. Snow was still falling, a soft rustle. At this hour, there were few cars on the road, especially since they hadn't entered the city yet. There were even fewer vehicles on this particular road, so no other cars ever came between the two vehicles. This scene reminded Yunyan of her mother's words just now, where she had asked Jiang Yinyan to take Yu Wanzhou home. But she understood that her mother's true meaning was not the literal one. "What?" Yunyan murmured. Jiang Yinyan sat beside her. Perhaps he was tired from the day's events, so he closed his eyes to rest after getting into the car. Old Liu was still quietly and steadily driving the car, his eyes fixed straight ahead. Yunyan's voice was very soft, as if asking herself, yet also asking someone else. Jiang Yinyan didn't open his eyes. He asked faintly, "What? Why does my mom hate me?" Jiang Yinyan slowly opened his eyes and turned to look at her. In the dim light of the car, the sorrow in her eyes and brows was unrestrained, flowing like a river. He was silent for a moment, then said, "You're well aware of Aunt Lan's condition, so why are you arguing with a patient?" That single Aunt Lan quickly brought Yunyan back to her senses. Now, the entire Jiang family, including old Mrs. Jiang, doesn't know about your past. With an outsider present today, aren't you worried about discretion? Yunyan was truly puzzled. Jiang Yinyan's gaze moved from her face, and he scoffed. "The outsider you're referring to, is that Su Huai?" "Yes." "So you're very clever," Jiang Yinyan said with a smile. "You've completely put an end to Su Huai's idea of going to the sanatorium again. That's quite clever." "That doesn't mean I have to keep your secret," Yunyan said. "I know," Jiang Yinyan said, unexpectedly unannoyed. "What you truly want to protect are Yu Zhuanzhou's secrets, and possibly secrets that might exist within the Yu family." Yunyan stiffened all over. Jiang Yinyan turned to look at her and chuckled softly. "Was I right?" Yunyan was silent for a long time before finally asking, "What are you trying to say?" "You're worried," Jiang Yinyan said, a slight curve on his lips. "You're afraid the Yu family isn't as perfect as you believe. Yu Zhuanzhou's matters are hardly secrets to you and me. Even Xiaomin knows, right? What truly worries you is that your father, whom you've always been so proud of, might be hiding secrets, and even your mother might have a side you're unaware of. It's true Su Huai is a doctor, but he's not your mother's primary physician, and more importantly, He's from the Su family. While your relationship with Madame Huang is good, in the business world with interests exchanged, today's friend could be tomorrow's enemy. It's never good to have leverage in someone else's hands after all. Yunyan had indeed thought as much, but to have it articulated so mercilessly by Jiang Yinyan, she felt a surge of indignation. You consistently refuse to talk about my father's affairs. Then I ask you, does my mother also hate my father? Jiang Yinyan slightly raised an eyebrow. I'm not clear on that point. Yunyan's eyes were filled with disbelief. Really, Jiang Yinyan said, looking quite sincere. Yunyan didn't believe what he said. You could find a sanatorium tonight. What else is there that you can't uncover? Jiang Yinyan's eyes held a half-smile. You think too highly of me. I'm not a god. I can't uncover everything. But, he said, turning slightly, his gaze slowly chilling as he looked at her, actions like leaving without my permission tonight are not to happen again. This time, seeing that Aunt Lan had some issues, I won't hold it against you. Otherwise, do you think I would spare you? I already told you, Yunyan said, feeling she was being wronged. Did I agree? Yunyan pressed her lips together for a long time. It's already after work. Can't I even have my own time? Your own time? Jiang Yinyan sounded as if he'd heard a joke. He reached out and pinched her chin. Are you so devoted to your work that you're forgetting who you are? And forgetting what you should be doing most? How many more times do you expect me to emphasize this? Although he was smiling, the coldness in his eyes spread to his thin lips, and the chilling aura emanating from him gradually filled the entire car. Yunyan's heart trembled. Only then did she realize that, with Jiang Yinyan having been gentle lately, she had indeed almost forgotten that he was, in fact, a ruthless wolf who devoured people completely. Yunyan, it's as easy as turning my hand over for me to investigate your affairs, so don't play tricks or schemes with me, Jiang Yinyan said coldly. I didn't argue with you about Su Huai because I knew you weren't interested in him, but since your intentions were clear from the start, you shouldn't have let him go to the sanatorium to help. I explicitly refused, but the other person is an adult. Can I control his thoughts and restrict his actions? Hearing this, Jiang Yinyan changed the direction of his large hand, reaching around to the back of her neck and pulling her forward, forcefully drawing her entire body closer to him. He stared at her face, his eyes devoid of any smile. You've become increasingly fond of talking back lately. There was a clear warning in his words. Yunyan said nothing more. She wasn't foolish and wouldn't confront him head-on at a time like this. When the atmosphere was tense, old Lu, who usually never interrupted, suddenly spoke. Young Master Yin, how do we proceed after entering the city? It was an intervention that saved a precarious situation. Jiang Yinyan released her and subtly glanced at old Lu. Yinyan quickly spoke, I want to go home. Jiang Yinyan's brows, which had just relaxed with difficulty, furrowed again. What time is it? Going home at this hour. Are you not working tomorrow? Yinyan glanced at the time and thought, it's not that late. Jiang Yinyan leaned back and commanded, back to the company. He then added faintly, sleep in the lounge tonight. No. Yunyan's reflexive protest became less defiant after meeting Jiang Yinyan's cold gaze. After a long while, she finally said, there are no clothes for me to change into in the lounge, and toiletries, skincare products, and such are all too inconvenient. More importantly, she was truly afraid to be in the same room as Jiang Yinyan. Jiang Yinyan didn't say much. He just faintly called out, Old Lu. Old Lu glanced at Jiang Yinyan in the rearview mirror and said, yes, understood. Yunyan's heart hung uneasily. She didn't understand what Old Lu knew. The car continued forward, and after entering the city, the traffic increased. Yu Zhuanzhou's car didn't plunge into the thick of traffic, but because of the increasingly heavy traffic, he could no longer see Jiang Yinyan's car. He pulled over and called Yunyan. Only when Yunyan answered the phone did she realize there were more cars outside the window, and Yu Zhuanzhou was nowhere in sight. Yu Zhuanzhou asked her if she wasn't planning to get out of the car now that they were in the city. Yunyan felt utterly choked up inside. She wanted to get out, but could she? She said, Zhou, take Xiao Min back. She followed you all the way to the suburbs late at night. You should be responsible for her. I don't want you to interfere with Yu Zhuanzhou's affairs. After Yunyan finished her call with Yu Zhuanzhou, the car was silent for a while, and then Jiang Yinyan suddenly said this. Yunyan was slightly startled. She turned to look at him. Zhou's affairs? What do you mean? The sternness in Jiang Yinyan's brows hadn't completely dissipated. A lingering trace of it still made people hesitant to provoke him. He retorted, what do you think? Yunyan understood, but she wanted to downplay the topic. However, it was clear that Jiang Yinyan wasn't going to let her brush it off easily. She thought for a moment and said, Zhou is my family, so his affairs are naturally my affairs. Saying this was like walking on a knife's edge, but Yunyan had no choice but to brace herself and do it. Sure enough, a chill descended from Jiang Yinyan's eyes and brows, layer by layer, turning into an icy coldness in his gaze. His voice was cool, Even between parents and children, there is independent space, let alone between you and Yuanzhou. Is he an underage child? Or has his mind not fully developed even now? Does he need you, who is only 1 year older than him, to plan and strategize for him? Yunyan murmured, "That's not what I meant." Do you think Yuanzhou doesn't know what he's doing? Jiang Yinyan turned to look at her. Compared to his expression before the call, his current one appeared even colder. Or, do you want to decide for him what he should do? Yunyan felt something aggressive in his gaze, like a cold glint or a sharp knife, carrying a keenness that sought to carve into her heart. She had a vague premonition, and it wasn't a good one. Her rational self was warning her. Shut up. Don't say anything. Just listen to whatever he says or thinks. But emotionally, there was a stubbornness that stirred her feelings, ultimately prompting her to ask, "What do you mean by that?" Jiang Yinyan squinted slightly. His large hand again cupped the back of her head, pulling her forward. Unable to resist his strength, she could only lean forward awkwardly. "Are you really trying to help Yuanzhou, or are you trying to fulfill your own unfulfilled desires?" In that instant, Yunyan felt as if she had been slapped hard twice, her cheeks burning. She reacted instinctively. "What do you mean, fulfill my unfulfilled desires?" Jiang Yinyan, is your vision so corrupt that you see everyone and everything is corrupt? Jiang Yinyan's eyes grew even colder, the curve of his jaw distinctly hard. He narrowed his eyes slightly and said in a low voice, "What did you say? Say it again." Although his voice wasn't loud, it was clear that he was displeased, even furious. It was evident that the calmer he seemed, the greater his inner rage, but Yunyan was also getting angry. She felt that Jiang Yinyan was extremely brutal and unreasonable tonight. After getting into the car, his anger seemed to have nowhere to go and needed an outlet. In reality, Yunyan also had a suppressed feeling of grievance, stemming from Songlan. Her heart ached too much. Especially tonight, she had suffered a huge blow in the past. Whenever Yunyan visited the sanatorium, Songlan would be dismissive of her. This included the last time Songlan pushed her away because she touched the flowers. Although Yunyan felt uncomfortable, she would still deceive herself, constantly telling herself, "Mother is ill. That's why she doesn't recognize me. That's why she acts that way. It's very normal, very normal." Every time Yunyan went to the sanatorium, she held on to hope, telling herself that a miracle would happen today, that her mother would recognize her, that she might even say a few words to her. But every time she left the sanatorium, her heart was shrouded in gloom, her steps heavier than if filled with lead. Disappointed as always, and then, as always, she comforted herself. Sometimes even the staff at the sanatorium felt sorry for her, but she would instead comfort them. "It's okay. I believe one day she will recognize me. She definitely will." But tonight, Yunyan suddenly realized a problem. It wasn't that her mother didn't recognize her, but that she simply didn't want to acknowledge her. In her mother's eyes, she was merely a phantom. This strong realization came from her mother's attitude towards Yuanzhou and even Jiang Yinyan. Her mother knew who Zhou was, and even Jiang Yinyan, whom she hadn't seen for years, was recognized at a glance when he stood before her. Only Yunyan was completely ignored throughout. She wasn't jealous of Zhou, nor of her mother's kind attitude and concern for Zhou. She was jealous of Jiang Yinyan. Why was her mother so focused on him? So special? Even if a fraction of the tenderness in her mother's eyes had been directed at her, her emotions tonight wouldn't have spiraled out of control like this. So Yunyan also retorted coldly, staring at Jiang Yinyan's face and saying word by word, "Isn't it? In your eyes, everything people do is purposeful. You're inherently suspicious and eccentric. Do you think people around you are comfortable? Wrong. Being around someone like you is suffocating to the point of wishing one were dead." Although Yunyan's words weren't hysterical in tone, her attitude and emotional state were completely out of control. Her words were sharp, like knives. Indeed, this displeased Jiang Yinyan. He tightened his large hand, gritting his teeth as he spoke each word. "I think you're tired of living, aren't you?" The suffocating sensation at the back of her neck suddenly intensified. The man's grip was strong, and her neck was slender. His long fingers completely covered her carotid artery. For a moment, she felt as if her brain wasn't getting enough blood. Not only was breathing difficult, but she also felt dizzy and lightheaded. How many times, when tortured by Jiang Yinyan, had she had the same thought as at this very moment? Just let herself die. Tonight, this thought was especially intense. The moment she saw disgust and resentment in her mother's eyes, Yunyan suddenly felt utterly disheartened that, she didn't struggle, letting Jiang Yinyan choke her. Suddenly, the car body lurched violently. Jiang Yinyan's grip loosened slightly. It was also because of this sudden incident that Jiang Yinyan completely released his hand. From the front, old Lu said, "Young Master Yin, a cat just darted across. My apologies." Jiang Yinyan glanced over, his eyes meeting old Lu's in the rearview mirror. Old Lu said nothing more, subtly averting his gaze. Yinyan hadn't fully recovered yet, still frozen in a daze. Jiang Yinyan didn't trouble her further, nor did he say anything to her. When he leaned back in the seat, his emotions had already calmed down, as if nothing had happened just now. He said flatly, "Pay attention when driving." "Yes, young Master Yen." Actually, Yuan Zhou and Xiao Min hadn't had a proper discussion when they were in the magazine's underground parking lot that time. Yuan Zhou had approached Xiao Min with an accusatory tone, indeed intending to get a clear explanation. But before Xiao Min could say anything, Yuan Zhou received a call from the sanatorium. Consequently, both of them put aside their personal feelings, and Xiao Min, not even minding a very important meeting early tomorrow, rushed with Yuan Zhou to the suburbs. The return journey was long, at least Xiao Min thought so. She had never yearned for Yunyan as much as she did at this moment. How she wished Yunyan were in the car. After Yuan Zhou finished his call, a silence fell between them. Only the hum of the car engine could be heard. Yuan Zhou hadn't even turned on the car music. As the car moved forward, Xiao Min secretly observed Yuan Zhou beside her. His expression was solemn, his jawline tense. Perhaps Song Lan's words tonight had furrowed his brow, or perhaps, at this moment, his thoughts were the same as hers, both hoping that Yunyan was in the car. Another 5 or 6 minutes passed, and Xiao Min felt restless. The silhouettes of snow outside the car window grew larger. As the car lights swept past, they revealed rustling, falling snowflakes. Xiao Min thought to herself, this is Yunyan's favorite season for hot pot. She reached out, intending to turn on the music. Yuan Zhou, however, spoke up, asking her what she was doing. Xiao Min's hand froze midair, and after a moment, she said she wanted to listen to music. "What do you want to listen to?" Yuan Zhou asked. Xiao Min thought for a moment. Jazz. A winter night, especially when it was still snowing, was most suitable for listening to jazz. Yuan Zhou turned on the music, found the music category, and let Xiao Min choose. Xiao Min was usually familiar with Yuan Zhou's car, so she operated it naturally, quickly selecting some tracks for sequential playback. Gentle jazz tunes emanated from the speakers, sounding even more languid and captivating on such a quiet winter night, making one feel pleasantly lazy and sweet at heart. It gave a sense of complete relaxation, like snuggling up on a beanbag chair. Xiao Min leaned slightly to one side, her head resting against the car window. Excellent quality music filled her ears, and she felt the slight coolness of the window and the rustling white snow just beyond it. After a long while, Yuan Zhou spoke. "You still haven't answered my question." Xiao Min was listening to the music, feeling somewhat drowsy, when she suddenly heard this voice. At first, she thought she was dreaming, but it took her a while to realize she wasn't. She uttered a soft hum. Yuan Zhou looked straight ahead. "Do I need to repeat what I asked you in the parking lot earlier?" Xiao Min sighed inwardly. "What must come, will come." She pondered for a moment, then sat up straight. "I wasn't avoiding you. You're lying. I haven't even given my reason yet. And you already think I'm lying?" "Yes," Yuan Zhou said firmly. "Yes to what?" "You are avoiding me," Yuan Zhou emphasized. Xiao Min asked, "Why would I avoid you?" Yuan Zhou pressed his lips together, silent, his jawline slightly tense. On closer inspection, his earlobes were faintly red. Xiao Min thought, he must be too embarrassed to say it. But just as this thought crossed her mind, she heard Yuan Zhou whisper, "Because we slept together." It was as if fate intended to provide a fitting scene. The moment Yuan Zhou finished speaking, the car immediately jolted, just like Xiao Min's heart jolted upon hearing his words. It felt like a stone was pressing down on her. The obstacle wasn't small, and Yuan Zhou wasn't a novice. He could have definitely avoided it. But his mind was also in turmoil when he said that sentence. Blinding him, Yuan Zhou steadied the steering wheel and awkwardly mumbled an apology. But that didn't mean he would drop the previous topic. After apologizing, he miraculously continued, "So, you're avoiding me." Xiao Min was truly speechless, seeing that avoidance was futile, and knowing that this matter would always need to be addressed unless Yuan Zhou considered it a commonplace occurrence and didn't care at all. She sat up straight and said thoughtfully, "I wasn't avoiding you, really. That morning I was in a hurry to leave because I wanted to pick up your sister. It was her first day at work, and I was worried." "You left before dawn? Traffic jams that early?" Yuan Zhou asked. "Xiao Min, it wasn't before dawn. I've checked the dash cam." Yuan Zhou interrupted her excuse. Xiao Min was speechless. After a long silence, she spoke, "All right, I admit it, I didn't know how to face you." After all, that night, she hesitated slightly, cleared her throat, and continued, "You were already drunk. I shouldn't have taken advantage of you." It was, in a way, her initiative, and Xiao Min had indeed intended to be proactive. That night, her heart felt as if possessed by a demon. She wasn't sure if it was due to alcohol or some other reason, but she desperately wanted to release something, to completely disrupt certain relationships she was unwilling to accept, and to shake up this stagnant situation with earth-shattering force. So she did it. She initiated a kiss with him, but what happened next, she swore, truly went beyond her control. Everything spiraled out of control. You think you took advantage of me? Yuan-jo frowned. You're Yunyan's brother. I should have extended my love to your family, not harbored inappropriate thoughts. I was beastly. Xiaomin earnestly self-criticized. You didn't love the house and its crow. Xiaomin's mouth opened slightly. It was, well, love, and especially extended to him. No, Yuan-jo, why are you clinging to what happened that night? After all, you didn't really suffer a loss, did you? Xiaomin said, flustered. It wasn't her fault alone that things spiraled out of control. Why Yuan-jo whispered. Am I asking for fairness from you? I just think you shouldn't keep silent about this, especially your act of fleeing before dawn, which was extremely bad. Flee? Okay, actually, she was fleeing. Xiaomin sighed heavily. Could I dare not flee? You said your sister and I are best friends, and then to you. The important thing is... What is it? Yuan-jo's tone was a little impatient. Xiaomin licked her lips. You said you've never been in a relationship before, so that kind of thing was your first time, right? A sudden break. Xiaomin, due to inertia, almost lunged forward, but quickly extended a hand to brace herself, thus avoiding hitting her head. Brother, I'm telling you, can you give a warning when you break? Yuan-jo didn't respond. He just turned to stare at her, his expression unreadable. Xiaomin retracted her arm and rubbed it. Seeing his expression, she sighed and said, Did I say something wrong? Have you ever had a girlfriend before? I feel like I bullied a little white flower, so tell me, should I feel guilty or not? Even if you were a veteran in matters of love, I could accept it and move on, but you're not. So, you won't even allow me to feel a little guilt. Xiaomin felt her own logic was very muddled, but it didn't matter as long as she stuck to her stubborn stance. Hearing these words, Yuan-jo suddenly laughed. Xiaomin stared, taken aback. Had she bewildered him? Yuan-jo suddenly changed his previously passive demeanor, turned his body towards her, and looked at her with a half-smile, asking, You talk as if you're a seasoned veteran. You're just a bronze player yourself, so why are you pretending to be a king? Xiaomin's breath hitched, her face flushed with discomfort. Who? What bronze and king? I don't understand. That night, it was actually both their first time, and their romantic lives could both be described as barren. Yuan-jo had no dating experience. He was a late bloomer from a young age, and as he grew up, he was busy with his studies and career, leaving him no time. More importantly, his thoughts were focused on Yunyan. Xiaomin seemed fiery and energetic, working in her industry. How could she lack handsome and stylish men around her? But while she could joke and laugh with those people, she wasn't capable of anything serious. Xiaomin wasn't unaware of the gossip from her subordinates. In their eyes, as a prominent editor-in-chief, holding fashion resources, how many celebrities and influencers had to defer to her? How many newcomers wanting to make a name for themselves had to come and seek patronage? In her position, what kind of handsome man couldn't she have? Wasn't it just a matter of snapping her fingers? In other words, it would be perfectly normal and easy for her to exploit her power for sexual favors with whomever she desired. But Xiaomin was still the Xiaomin she used to be. Even now, draped in luxury and frequenting high society and celebrity circles as if it were an everyday occurrence, she still retained her pride and stubbornness deep down. Her pride made her unwilling to be corrupted by the conventional ways of survival, and her stubbornness, even after long becoming accustomed to the hedonistic lifestyle of wine, women, and song, still made her want to believe in pure love in the world. The white moonlight in Xiaomin's heart was Yuan-jo. When they met again, this white moonlight could no longer be banished from her heart. Now, she had slept with her white moonlight. There's a kind of emotion that's meant to be admired from afar, but not defiled, yet she had broken that vow, and then found herself somewhat addicted. So, for a moment, she was terrified. She fled in a panic. Yuan-jo straightforwardly exposed her, making all her composed pretenses fall apart. For a moment, Xiaomin didn't know how to respond and just stared blankly at Yuan-jo. As if frozen in place, Yuan-jo leaned closer to her, smiling. Nothing to say? Yuan-jo, Xiaomin reacted, her expression serious. What do you want? That one question stumped Yuan-jo. You think I fled in a panic, so now that you've found me, what do you want? Xiaomin articulated the question very specifically. Yuan-jo hesitated. Seeing his reaction, Xiaomin gave a bitter smile. See, Yuan-jo, you came to find me without even thinking through this question. What's the point? Yuan-jo lowered his gaze and remained silent for a long time. When he looked up again, his expression was serious. Yes, I haven't figured out what I want exactly, but I came to find you. I simply want to find you. I just feel that since something happened between us, this can't be treated as if it didn't. I can't just let it go that easily. Chow Min said softly. When you haven't thought it through, you shouldn't have come to find me. You should have just pretended nothing happened first. That's at least one way for adults to maintain their dignity. Your first time was with me. I should take responsibility. Yu Wanzhou disagreed with her statement, shaking his head. You can choose not to acknowledge it, but I can't. Chow Min listened to his words, stunned for a moment, then asked him, You came to find me because you feel you should take responsibility for this, right? Yes. Yu Wanzhou answered very firmly this time. Chow Min fell silent. She just looked at him, and as she kept looking, she suddenly smiled.